Hello world, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be doing a refactor. And when I say we are going to be doing a refactor, I mean I did a refactor and you're just going to check out all the changes I made. Because I tried recording all the different edits that I was making and explaining why I was editing them. And it was really boring and it was really long. It took about an hour and yeah, you just don't want to see that. You'd rather just see the different changes we made and why we made those changes. So I haven't changed any of the logic in the game. The logic's exactly the same. As you can see, we have our ship and it's lit up and there's 3 lights and you can move it around. I did add one mouse feature and that's, if you right click, you can move it around, but I'll talk about that in a second. Very, very simple thing. You could do it yourself if you really wanted to, but all the logic is exactly the same. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the Git Diff and just show you all the differences in the code base. If you like this episode, hit like. If you want to subscribe, feel free. I'm not going to stop you. And yeah, let's get into it. If I go into graphics, libraries, and look at all of our different graphics libraries that we currently have, we used to have vertex shader library and fragment shader library. I've consolidated that into just shader library. And to determine what we're using, basically the enum will just have this vertex or fragment appended to the end of the name of the shader type. And I've also moved the shader class into this shader library file. This is a lot more simplified. The second major change that I did was in renderPipelineStateLibrary. We used to have a renderPipeline descriptor and a renderPipelineStateLibrary, but really it's like a one-to-one relationship. The renderPipeline will be attached to the renderPipelineState, and we're not reusing really the renderPipeline because why would we do that? And so what I've done here is I've just moved all of this renderPipeline descriptor code into the constructor of our pipeline states and put all of this renderPipelineStateLibrary slash descriptor stuff inside of the renderPipelineStateLibrary. And if I scroll down, you'll note that here's the vertex and fragment function being used, basic vertex, basic fragment. Okay, now that I've said that, those are the 2 big changes I've done. I'm gonna pull up my GitHub desktop and we're gonna look at some of the other changes that I made. Another change we did was we added a git ignore. Thank you, Chip Jared, for suggesting that I add a freaking git ignore. He actually put in a PR, and I don't know how I feel about the community contributing to PRs inside of this, because I wanna go tutorial by tutorial by tutorial. I don't want to just add code that you've never seen before and then say, hey, this exists by the way. I want us to kind of see everything, all of the changes that go on, I want you to see them. And so I added it in here. Thanks though, Chip Jared, for the suggestion. The second thing I've done is I've updated the pbxproj file, and that's probably just because I added some different files inside of here and deleted files. And moving down the list, we're gonna go to engine. I basically just removed some spaces, just because that was a common thing in this entire project. I tried to find as many of these empty spaces as I could to delete them. I updated keyboard, spaces, removed some spaces. Math, I removed spaces. Telling you spaces was a big deal. Clear colors, I removed the type right here. We don't need this type. We could just set it equal to an MTL clear color. And then I also added a dark gray, and we are now using dark gray as our background. Say we were adding a model to the scene, and for some reason our shader wasn't coloring it any colors, it would just be black. Well, we have no idea that it exists in that black space, and so changing it to dark gray will make us see that there's actually an object there, we just aren't coloring it correctly. Moving on to library, spaces. Here's that change, that refactor that I never pushed up because I'm a silly goose. I never pushed this change up to the repository. So here's the, if you want to watch this episode as the last episode, it's a fix to the SIMD float 234 problem. Shader, I removed this class and put it inside of the shader library. Color util, some spaces. Storyboard, I did some editing of the storyboard, nothing too crazy. I think I centered it on the screen, so when it pops up it centers, and then I removed restorable, so it doesn't restore to the last size it was when you built before. Entities, remove some spaces. I made it mandatory, and you'll see this in the node class later, but now it's mandatory to pass a name in the constructor, so that when we go through the debugging process, a name shows up, not just node. I don't need to remember to put set name. It just we have to do that. Another thing I did was I removed the zoom feature from our camera. So this is a little bit of a logic change, but not really. Instead of updating the field of view zoom, because I mean, if you think about it, zooming with the field of view is silly, right? You're just expanding the field and shrinking the field. Instead, what we're doing is we're going to be moving the camera. So as I zoom right here, I'm just moving in the Z now, as opposed to before what we were doing was changing the field of view. I'm actually moving the camera in and out. Yeah, here's me also adding 2 different types of mouse manipulation. So if we press the right button, we will just rotate our object, or excuse me, our camera. And if we press the center button on your mouse, then we will be moving the camera around. So it's just a little bit nicer feature functionality. Going down, we have cruiser. We're just passing in the name, because that makes a lot more sense. I'll scroll down in this list. There's a lot. Whew, running out of breath. All right, so cube, also taking advantage of not self.setName. That's ridiculous. Game object, I renamed. So before we weren't being consistent with our private variables. Now all of our private variables will have an underscore on them. If I scroll down in our game object class, we are now having to call super.init with that name. I removed the update model constants because, I mean, it was just one line of code. Why did I have a whole function just for one function call? So I removed that. Scrolling down with renderable, we are now doing something else. What are we doing here? Oh, it's just a rename of that variable right there. Added that underscore. Same thing with the material and mesh. And if I scroll down, yep, those are just renames. Set material color. Looks like I have the ability to set the material color now. And let's see. Okay, so this is what I kind of wanted to get into. I added some functions here that allow us to just pass in an RGB value, because before we had to pass a float 3, and I don't want to have to pass a float 3. I want to be able to set the material color, or ambient, or diffuse, or specular, or whatever it is, by just passing in 3 different values instead of a float, having to create a import SIMD or metal kit and having to use a float 3. No, let's just pass these, and this will keep track of that SIMD. And then just some other small updates down there as well. Instance game object, I just created this node with the name because, like I said, it's mandatory now. This was not acceptable. And I did get name and the instance node that it's currently on. I also removed the update model constants buffer and moved that code into the update function. And right there, removed that as well. There's a little bit of renaming. God, I hope you're not bored. Hope this is all making sense on why I did some of this stuff. And yes, gorgeous. Light object, naming, super.self.setName. Pointer. This is just another one of those classes, now taking advantage of the naming. Quad, same. Sun, same. Node. Okay, let's look at that change. So I removed node. I removed the default constructor to node, and so now it's just a mandatory name. Let me pass that in and we set it. Also, if I scroll down, you'll see that now set position also doesn't need to take in a float 3. It can take in just 3 different values, and then we set that position based on set position. And then we did that for rotation and scale as well. Sandbox scene. Whew. Okay, like I said, I got to remove metal kit from the whole entire sandbox scene because now we're just passing in 3 different values. We're not passing in a float 3 with different values. We're passing in just 3 different values, and that's a lot cleaner. I also removed the sun moving back and forth because that was really obnoxious. Don't need that. And yeah, moving on. Scene. Some naming stuff. Looks like we removed update scene constants and just moved that into the update function. And that's about that. Graphics. Here's where I removed the vertex shader library and fragment shader library. Now we just have this one nice simple shader library. And we also removed the renderPIpelineDescriptor So yeah, moved a bunch of lines of code in there. That felt good. Some spacing. Fragment shader types. Look at that. Removed, deleted. And here's our renderPIpelineDescriptor class. Gone. This is our RenderPipelineStateLibrary. This is where I added all of these different lines right here for the renderPipeline descriptor that we were talking about earlier. More lines removed. Shader library. Okay. Yeah, we've already talked about that. Vertex descriptor library. Lines. I'm telling you, I coded all this. It took like an hour. You would have been bored out of your mind. You're probably bored out of your mind right now. But it is important that I tell you what the hell's happening so that if you're ever like, hey, I don't remember you doing that. Go back and watch this craziness. Yeah, vertex descriptor library, just remove spaces. Vertex shader library, well, I deleted that whole thing. Basic shaders, okay. Here's another big change that I did, because it wasn't a big change, but it was a change that I kind of want to look at the code for. So if I go into graphics and I go into shaders, you'll now note that there's a Lighting.metal file here. If I go into Lighting.metal, I've created a class in C++, like this is like C++ code. I've created a class called Lighting. And then I've created a static float3 function called getFongIntensity, and I'm taking in all these values. And this is now computing that lighting based on these values. If I go to basic shaders now, you'll note that I now don't have to do that whole entire calculation inside of this file. I can just simply call lighting.getFongIntensity from inside of here, and it will return the same thing. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, you did a little hash include up at the top, and beautiful. Gone. Deleted all that stuff and put it in its own file where it belongs. All right, and this is shaders. This all didn't exist. We were kind of being neglectful of our instant shader. So I added that back. Lighting.metal, there's that change. I added some if-ndef shared metal. So the idea behind this, I don't know if I ever explained this, but these are preprocessor things. Word kind of slipped my mind. But basically what's happening here is we define shared metal if it's not defined. And now when we do our compilation, it won't pick this up multiple times. It'll only include it one time if it's already been included. Let's go to Scene Manager, just added that name in there, and we're done. Okay, that was painless, right? Are you excited? I'm gonna push all this code up, and then I'll put the link to the commit in the description, because you might wanna come back and refer to this yourself. But also note that the code is up on GitHub, and anybody can go access it. I'll leave the link down in the description. Just go and you can either clone it or fork it or whatever you want to do. You can submit PRs. I don't mind that. It's just I probably won't put them through, but I'll give you a shout out if you do, and it's worthwhile changes to the engine. So yeah, thanks for watching and making it through. If you made it all the way through, comment and say you did it, because you're a champion. That's awesome. Thank you for being so supportive in the community. You guys are all saying some really, really nice stuff. I really appreciate that. I know I've been kind of slacking on my YouTubing, but I think I'm going to get back into it a little more hardcore, because there's a lot of really cool things that I've been learning off, camera, and I want to show you all those different things. And yeah, we'll get into those in the future. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Subscribe, like, tell your friends, share on Reddit. God, I got so many followers just from somebody sharing on Reddit. Forget the name of the individual, Musselbania, I think, Miguel. He might be his name, I'm not sure. But yeah, thanks for that shout out. That helped a lot. And that's the best way to support YouTubers, by the way, is by sharing their content. Yes. I'll stop talking. I'm just jabbering. Thanks for watching. Peace.